Hi guys, it's Karen. Today I thought we'd do something a little bit different. I'm going to show you how I do an artist hack for repurposing old content into new work. I've done this for lots of different things. Like say I create a pattern and then I will add it to other designs or change it up. One thing I really like to do is I like to take old content that I've made. I've done a lot of holiday designs and other designs over the years and then turn them into something new like coloring book pages. I did a lot of this when I did my Christmas coloring book. I have very few Halloweeny things that I think I can repurpose and turn into some coloring pages, whether or not they go into a Halloween coloring book or I just put them up for free or for sale somewhere. That's what I'm going to work on today. And so I thought I would talk to you about this hack. Let's switch over to my Cintiq screen so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. I do a lot of drawings from scratch. I also, to save time, instead of coming up with a whole brand new witch drawing by herself, and if I have to do lots of designs, I stroll through my old content and see what I can do with it. This was an old greeting card that I did years ago, so long ago in fact, that it was actually back in 2004. I don't know if you can see where I signed it there, 2004. And I don't even know if I have a high quality resolution image of this. But anyway, I don't work like this anymore. But I still have always liked this image, even though it's not what I'm doing currently. And it's kind of awkward. You can tell my skill level has improved. I've always liked this idea of the witch's familiar sitting on her shoulder, her curly hat, her gray hair, and her green face. I thought I could use this to turn it into a coloring page. So now I'm going to actually combine two assets of mine. I mean, that's the beauty about artists as content creators and not just fine artists or whatever. If you start thinking about production and you start thinking about, how can I turn this into something else? How can I recombine my things? It does save time. The other thing I have here is this candy corn border. This was a Halloween invitation that I had created years ago, the background for one. So what I'm going to end up doing on this, I think, is I will use this candy corn as the border, and instead of having to hand draw one, I will either just move this around my image and trace it as is, or I will turn this into an image material inside of Clip Studio, and then I can use that image material not only on this project, but for any other drawing in Clip Studio where I want a candy corn border, it will handily be available in the menu. So I'm probably going to slow down the video and kind of walk you through how to do that when I get to that point. But for now, what I thought I would do is I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to record my process. And a couple of things to note about this drawing is, because this is a coloring page, I'm going to fill the sky with a bunch of stars. And again, the border, then people could color the border, but it's still going to be a fairly simple line art. So I'm going to go ahead and stop talking now, and then I'm going to start the whole process of tracing this, and it's not going to be exactly traced because I can see things already that I want to fix, like her hat does not actually look like it's on her head in any kind of realistic manner, and her head looks very flat, like she doesn't have the top of her skull. I'm going to adjust things as I go, so it won't be an exact just line art trace, although I could do that because this is my art and I can do what I want with it. But that's also part of the fun for me, is if I see an old image and I feel like it needs updating because I can see very large flaws in it now, I'll take the time to adjust it or change it to something that I'm more into now. Yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. And I'll come back and talk to you again when I get to the part where I turn the candy corn into image material. All right, so let's get started. Okay, I just wanted to break in here with a voiceover to point out a couple things. One, you can see that when I was first drawing it, I stuck to the original landscape idea, but realized when I started to draw the hat and everything and make her actual skull and things underneath it correct, that I would have to adjust so that I had more room. So I turned the canvas into portrait to be able to fit all that in. I am going away from the original sort of whimsical look that I had and making something more proportionally correct, because that's how I draw now. Now you can see that I've had to adjust her body again because I started with a head and I didn't sketch out her whole body. So I started out with her big head. That's one of the problems when you start sketching with just a head. You end up either having an oddly shaped body or you run out of room on the canvas when you don't plan the figure out proportionately to begin with. Since the first version was so whimsical, it was very stylized and very clearly not anatomically correct. You could kind of get away with it. But since the new drawing is a little bit more anatomically correct, even though it's still exaggerated, I had to start changing the proportions, and I'm still adjusting the body as I go. Now, this is going to take a lot longer than I thought because I'm just going with what I feel, and what I feel is to make it more anatomically correct. Earlier, you also saw me using the grid to plan out where my border is going to be, and I'm going to have her breaking the border. So I'm going to continue this in a part 2 because I feel like the drawing part is going to take quite a bit of time to work out, and I do not want to make this video super, super long. So I will stop this here, and then I will continue on in a How to Hack Your Old Work part 2.